In What Sets Us Apart, the story of Ashley Williams and Jessica Thompson is one of internal conflict, forbidden desire, and the enduring hope for connection in the face of oppressive structures. And it captures an archetypal LGBTQ narrative that resonates far beyond the specifics of the scene. At the start of the story, Ashley is shown reading scripture on her bed, a clear visual representation of duty, faith, and self-discipline, while Jessica changes into her pajamas nearby. The juxtaposition is immediate and deliberate, one girl cloaked in religious devotion, the other embodying quiet sensuality, and together they represent the timeless tension between spiritual expectations and human longing. Ashley's inability to resist sneaking glances at Jessica conveys the real struggle many queer people face in environments where desire is strictly policed, often by religious or cultural doctrine. She wants to remain focused on her faith and the missionary work ahead, but human connection defies repression, and in that moment Ashley becomes a stand-in for countless LGBTQ individuals who have struggled to reconcile who they are with what they have been taught. Jessica's casual confidence as she finishes dressing and joins Ashley contrasts with Ashley's tension, hinting that she may be more at ease with her feelings, or at least more comfortable with testing the boundaries between them. When Jessica asks if they should review their route for the morning, the conversation reinforces their commitment to their missionary duties, but it also shows how routine and structure can serve as a shield from acknowledging deeper feelings. They are both young women with a shared purpose, a shared room, and a shared faith. And yet, in the privacy of the night, the intensity of their emotional connection breaks through the discipline they've cultivated. When Jessica retreats to her bed and turns out the light, the stage is set for an intimate moment that feels inevitable. Darkness here becomes more than a literal absence of light. It becomes a symbolic absence of surveillance, of doctrinal judgment, and of the eyes of their religious community. It's within this darkness that Ashley feels Jessica's gaze and cannot ignore the longing between them. This setup is deeply relatable for many lesbian viewers who grew up in restrictive religious or conservative environments, where privacy and secrecy were the only ways to explore identity. It is a scene about both liberation and risk, liberation from imposed moral codes and risk because of the repercussions of being discovered. The decision to join under the covers of a single bed despite their teachings is not simply a romantic or sexual act, it is a radical assertion of selfhood and agency. In choosing each other, Ashley and Jessica momentarily reject the institutional teachings that have told them their feelings are sinful. This tension between faith and desire reflects a common LGBTQ experience of feeling torn between community belonging and authentic self-expression. Many lesbian viewers can see themselves in Ashley's hesitation, in the way she pushes away the secret feelings only to ultimately give in to them. Women in general can relate to the broader theme of forbidden love, the feeling of wanting something or someone society says you cannot have, the internalized shame, and the courage required to reach out anyway. The scene highlights how intimacy between two women often develops from emotional closeness, shared routines, and mutual trust, which can be both deeply validating and dangerously transgressive in environments that demand rigid conformity. The following day, the plot takes a dramatic turn with the phone call from Brother Benson, the mission president. Ashley's transfer is abrupt and chilling, suggesting the pervasive surveillance of religious institutions and the swiftness with which they act to separate perceived transgressors. The implication that they've been outed somehow captures a specific terror for closeted LGBTQ people, the fear that private moments of intimacy or confession could result in public punishment, humiliation, or exile. This moment resonates especially strongly with lesbian and queer viewers who have faced similar repercussions from family, schools, or religious groups after being discovered. It underscores how precarious queer love can be in environments that refuse to validate its legitimacy. At the same time, this dramatic separation is a classic romantic trope, reinforcing the enduring power of love even in the face of oppressive forces. As Ashley and Jessica promise to wait for each other, their story becomes one of resilience, hope, and endurance. This echoes a long history of queer people building emotional and romantic lives in the shadows, making promises to reconnect despite forced separations, whether due to family rejection, institutional constraints, or geographical displacement. Their promise represents the refusal to let external authority fully extinguish their bond, embodying the broader LGBTQ cultural value of chosen love and chosen family, which often transcend imposed barriers. Lesbian viewers may find the bittersweetness of this moment profoundly relatable. The mix of heartbreak and hope, the way queer love often feels both intensely private and constantly under threat, and the need to cling to small moments of affirmation to sustain oneself through periods of isolation. This scene also speaks to the broader question of why society has historically hated seeing two girls in love. Part of this discomfort lies in patriarchal control over women's bodies and autonomy. Female-female intimacy threatens the heteronormative order by existing outside of male-centered validation and reproduction. In religious contexts, it challenges the narrative of women as obedient vessels of family and faith, instead asserting their right to pleasure, agency, and self-directed spirituality. Furthermore, lesbian love undermines rigid gender expectations by modeling a partnership of equals, rather than the traditional patriarchal hierarchy of husband and wife. For many viewers, both queer and straight, the story of Ashley and Jessica illuminates how these oppressive structures remain alive today, cloaked in doctrine or concern, but ultimately designed to regulate who is allowed to love whom. Yet despite these pressures, the intimacy between Ashley and Jessica also functions as an act of quiet rebellion. Their secret night together demonstrates that desire and love are ultimately human, universal, and impossible to suppress indefinitely. This is an empowering message not only for lesbian viewers but also for all women who have been told to repress their desires, sacrifice their authenticity, or conform to a role that denies their true selves. The emotional charge of the scene comes from this universality. While grounded in a specific religious setting, it reflects experiences that many women, queer or not, can relate to, such as forbidden attraction, the pain of separation, and the enduring hope of reunion. From an LGBTQ cultural perspective, Penta What Sets Us Apart highlights the enduring themes of secrecy, repression, and resistance that have characterized queer lives across generations. The scriptural readings, the missionary duties, and the looming presence of authority figures like Brother Benson all mirror real-life systems of control, churches, schools, and families that have sought to regulate sexual orientation and gender expression. But the central focus on Ashley and Jessica's bond also mirrors the resilience, creativity, and hopefulness of queer people who find ways to love each other despite these restrictions. The promise to wait for one another, even in the face of separation, aligns with a long tradition of queer perseverance, from clandestine letters and coded messages to modern long-distance digital relationships. Moreover, the scene's emphasis on emotional intimacy rather than overt eroticism is itself a subversion of how lesbian relationships are often depicted in mainstream media. By centering on longing, risk, and mutual commitment, the story gives lesbian love the dignity of complexity, rather than reducing it to titillation. This matters because representation shapes cultural perception. When audiences see two women as protagonists in a story of genuine romance and struggle, it normalizes their humanity and undermines stereotypes. Such portrayals also create empathy, showing that at its core, love between two women is no different from love between anyone else. It involves hope, fear, risk, joy, and pain. Finally, Penta What Sets Us Apart offers a nuanced meditation on the intersection of faith and sexuality. For many LGBTQ people raised in religious environments, the path to self-acceptance involves grappling with internalized shame, fear of divine punishment, and the loss of community. By dramatizing this struggle through Ashley and Jessica, the story provides a mirror for those still navigating these conflicts, affirming that their feelings are real, their love is valid, and their struggle is shared. It also invites broader audiences to reconsider the harm caused by teachings that pathologize or criminalize queer love, encouraging empathy and perhaps inspiring dialogue or change. In sum, the story of Ashley and Jessica in Penta What Sets Us Apart is not only a tale of forbidden romance but also a powerful reflection of LGBTQ culture, highlighting the universal themes of love, repression, resilience, and hope. Lesbian viewers can relate to the hidden glances, the whispered promises, and the fear of being discovered, while women in general can connect with the experience of navigating attraction and duty under societal constraints. The scene also addresses the persistent societal discomfort with two women in love, rooted in patriarchal control and heteronormativity, while offering a counter-narrative of authenticity, courage, and emotional truth. By telling their story in such a human and relatable way, the film underscores that love between women is not an anomaly or a scandal, but a natural, beautiful, and deeply human experience. One that will endure as long as people like Ashley and Jessica dare to reach across the boundaries set to keep them apart.